Oh man, it's good to see all your faces. I'm Michael Lefkowitz, also known as Juggler. This is Palfly. And yeah, we're going to give a workshop. So it'll have a talk component and a workshop component. I'll go over that in a second. But I figured we would introduce ourselves first. Do you want to talk a bit about yourself?
I'm Palfly. I've been setting puzzles since 2022. Have set over 300 puzzles since, and usually I use quite weird constraints. That's just what I'm comfortable with. And you might also know me from Rank's adventure series. I've set quite a few puzzles for those. I think almost 70 at this point. Yeah, that's about it for me. Juggler?
Yeah, and I'm Michael, Juggler, as I said. And my background is in linguistics, computational linguistics, but I've always kind of liked making puzzles. So yeah, I got into variant Sudoku maybe a year and a half ago, and just been addicted to making them ever since then. And I think I'm known for making kind of weird puzzles that have some kind of visual theme or something quirky going on. So yeah, that's me. There's a few other puzzles on the screen. Yeah, workshop structure. So we're going to split the talk into 3 halves. In the first half, we'll talk about some takeaways that we've learned about setting puzzles that look really good, about puzzle themes, about designing clues so that they're nice to look at. And in the second half, I'll be giving a short, unscripted demo of how to use SudokuMaker the way that I use SudokuMaker, which I really love abusing SudokuMaker and SudokuPad and making them do all kinds of crazy things that they probably were not necessarily meant to do, and I'm going to show you how to do that too. I can see Sven sitting right here smiling. And then in the third half of the talk, I will ask you to break into groups. And, well, we'll brainstorm a little bit, kind of like we did with Glum Hippo session, and then break into groups and spend the rest of the time making up new types of clues and new visuals for those types of clues in small groups, and we'll be coming around and helping out with that. So I'm really excited to see what people come up with for that. So start brainstorming now, right? Should we jump in? Okay. So theming in puzzles. We're just starting with this. Not every puzzle needs a theme. Obviously, puzzles can be abstract and can be amazing and beautiful because of their logic. But I think more and more people are trying to make kind of themed puzzles. And I think there's sort of a way to make a really good one, and there's also lots of ways to make not so good ones. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And rather than tell you what makes a good puzzle theme, what I'd like to do is show you puzzles I think have really nice use of themes, and then ask you why those themes are good. And I want to see what you think of. So think a little bit about why these are good themes. Okay, the first one, all right, it's by Marty Sears. Everything's by Marty Sears. But there's, right? and usually they look really nice. So I will open this so you can see the rules, because that's important as well. There's Sven. So yeah, it looks like this. So already that's funny, right? And it's called index fingers. But let me just really quickly look at the rules. I'm not going to tell you why it's good. So each of these is an index clue, basically. So if this is sort of row 4, column 2 contains a 5, then row 4, column 2 would contain a 5. And the premise is that each of these fingers has lost its gold ring, and we're going to turn the line tool on. And the gold ring for that finger would be here. So every finger has a gold ring in the grid. So that's kind of the rule set. There's a couple more details, but that gives you a kind of a sense of the rule set, right? So index fingers, and each of these fingers indexes a digit in the grid with XYZ indexing. So, okay, that's a puzzle. Kind of neat. Some of you may have seen it. Prickly Pear by Nordy. I don't know if anyone's seen this puzzle, but I also really like the theming here. So it's prickly pear. It's got cacti, cactuses, whatever you want, in the grid. And again, I'll just read the rules and not tell you why I like them. The sum of the digits on a green cactus is less than or equal to every digit that shares an edge with it. So these cells that touch the green cactus are restricted. They have to be greater than the sum of the cactus, which is, as you can see, a really hard to satisfy constraint. But, and then the opposite is true for the orange ones. So these are difference cacti, and every digit that touches a difference cactus has to be less than the difference between the digits on the difference cactus. And that's it. Those are all the rules, right? And we've got these lovely cacti. Okay, so I think that's a really good example. I'm not going to tell you why, but think about it in your head because I'm going to ask you. Okay, lastly, oh man, I love how this puzzle looks. It's gonna be hard to not tell you why I like it. Gravity by M. Nasty, right? I almost don't even have to tell you the rules to this puzzle. You can just like intuit them by looking at it. But I'm not even gonna click it to go to LMD. Those rules have to be put back in the grid and they all fell out, right? And it follows physics rules, so they can't pass through each other. They're like solid objects. So put them back and then solve the killer thermo puzzle, the rules to that one. Okay, I'm going through these really fast, but I actually want people to raise their hand and tell me why one of these is really effective use of theme, and I'm gonna say back whatever you said so that the folks in the live stream can hear your thoughts, your comments. Just open it up for a couple minutes. Who has something they like about one of these? Yeah.
I like the pun on an index puzzle with an index finger.
Okay, we got a punny title. Yep, absolutely. Marty does like his puns. Yes.
The symbols on the cacti make it easy to remember which ones are which and what rules they go by.
Ooh, nice. So we've got symbols on these cacti. We've got minus symbols on the difference ones, and plus symbols on the addition ones. And the inequality signs. So they also have inequality signs that are backwards from each other, because this one's less than this, and this difference is greater than all of the things that touch this cactus. Very well spotted. Okay, excellent. Anything else about any of these? Yes, Lucian.
I like that the non-standard lines break my brain out of jumping to the shortcuts that I'm used to associating with standard lines.
Nice. So the comment was that the non-standard line visual, like for the cacti or the fingers, breaks your brain out of using shortcuts you'd use for standard line types, right? So you think, this is a Renban, I don't have to figure out how those work, I know how those work. And these kind of break you out of that cycle. I love that comment. Yeah, anything else? Yes, in the front.
They look fun.
They just look fun. Okay, yeah. That's really important. Sven.
Like if you have a visual display of multiple puzzles, having them sort of very distinct like colors and shapes makes it much easier to like, oh, I'm on puzzle 3 instead of 5 similar puzzles I don't know which I just solved.
So the comment from Sven is that they look really unique. So if you're looking at a bunch of puzzles, they stand out and they're really memorable. Yeah, these are great comments. One more, last one.
I'd say for each of them, there's quite a bit to remind you of the rules without actually going back to the paragraph and reading it.
Okay, the comment, this is a great comment. So there's a lot in each of these that reminds you about the rules without having to go and read the rules again. So you can look at them and you're reminded of what the rules are. Okay, these are awesome comments. I'm gonna kind of reveal what I had in mind, and it's actually this last point, but all of these are really important points. But especially this last point, I wanna drive home. The theme in each of these has something in common with the rules, and it helps you it helps remind you of the rules, right? And then the way they're visually presented is also connected to the theme, but it's also connected to the rules. So like you see those little inequality signs, we've got index fingers pointing at things, and they're indexing things by pointing at cells. And gravity, you don't really have to think too hard about the complexity of where those came from if you just think about this gravity metaphor. They're physics objects, they fell out of the grid, enough said, right? That just helps. You don't even have to read the rules again, you just get it. And that can really help people to be reminded. So that's cool. So I think these are great themes. I should also mention puzzles that I don't think the theme is used very well. So yeah, apologies to the folks that constructed these, which we may hint at later. This one's called Use Your Noodle. Again, I don't want to embarrass anybody who may have set this. But the rules, well, I can click on the link here. Oh no, that revealed the setter. Yeah, oops. Anonymity is gone. Okay, so think about what you just liked about the previous puzzles, right? Ravioli, each raviolo, singular of ravioli, has the same sum. You know, just like ravioli in real life. Spaghetti, adjacent digits on a spaghetto differ by at most 2. Again, just like everyday spaghetti. Like, you don't need to look at that rule again, but no. So it goes on, and I do like how these ravioli look, but it's just completely not the right puzzle to have a theme in the first place. It's totally forced. So yeah, that's on me. Palfly, do you want to talk about the other one that we don't like?
Yeah, the second puzzle was, as far as I know, constructed from a comment from Juggler about people just throwing random emojis into a grid. And yeah, so basically the constructor said this, where it's basically, if any of you know Irvish, it's where each of the emojis, the same emoji has to have different digits in it. So for example, this avocado and this avocado couldn't have the same digit. And then the outside clues are numbered rooms. Yeah. But yeah, don't throw random emojis into a puzzle.
What about sound effects?
I mean, that's harder for us than for you.
One time I put a giant chess knight in the background of an anti-knight puzzle just to remind you.
You guys are doing your talk for us. What are you doing? So yeah, here for new clue designs, like for example, when Glum had the talk earlier, you could use these tricks as well. Again, the first slide was more about the visually funny stuff, or well, interesting stuff. But you can also do the same things with more normal clues. So for example, the first one, SIPA, most of you probably don't know what it is. For those of you who don't, it's basically that the middle cell is the sum of the next two digits outwards, and it basically spreads out like that, and each pair of digits outwards has the same sum. Yeah, and the point in the middle points towards the middle cell being important, and that's very helpful in the solve, so you remember, oh, I should look at that. And similarly, in the second puzzle, you have the constructor could have used circles or squares, like many people do in puzzles, but they specifically made 8-pointed stars for pointing at the diagonals and at the rows and columns, even though the rows and columns aren't necessary in this case, but it still works. And yeah, the second point is that if you make a new clue, you want to make it distinct from other clues so people don't confuse them. So for example, for index lines, they could have made them look like thermos. It has the same effect, but making them a different color, changing the round bulbs to diamonds, makes them visually so different that you don't confuse them with each other. Yeah.
Thanks. So that was about designing new clues. What about just visual clarity in puzzles, like making them nice to look at, easy to see? I actually want to do by show of hands, who just aesthetically likes the one on the right better than the one on the left? Show of hands. Okay, great. Who likes the one on the left better than the one on the right? That's about 50-50. I think the one on the left might win a little bit. Maybe it's 40-60, right? So the one on the left maybe jumps out. It's a little bit, grabs your eye a little bit more. Okay, what about now? So now when I look at the one on the right, I think, oh, there's a 3 in one of those cells. And when I look at the one on the left, I think, ugh. So if your opinion is also, why is it, okay, how could we have avoided that, right, when we were making this puzzle, when we were designing this puzzle? Because before you put digits in, it looks fine. Well, one way you could do is make it and then test it and find out that you don't like how it looks. But there are some shortcuts. So what are the shortcuts? Well, I like to use this term, the Mickey Mouse zone. So when you're solving in a tool like SudokuPad, where do the pencil marks and the digits go? They go in the middle, and usually they go in the upper right and upper left corners, unless people like using 7 corner marks, but who are those people, right? So most people are using a couple corner marks per cell, and so we get this Mickey Mouse zone where the pencil marks, the writing goes. And this is, I think, true to a lesser extent with solving with pen and paper as well. So, okay, the Mickey Mouse zone has certain laws. If you're in the Mickey Mouse zone, you don't want to have a lot of visual detail, right? That's like the diamond on the left side. You don't want to have black lines. You don't want to have a lot of dark, saturated colors that are similar to the colors of a pen or of the blue ink, the blue pixels in SudokuPad. Empty, awesome, obviously, but you can also use kind of very bland, light-colored fill that's different from the blue, right? So on the right, you can see that circle is totally okay because it's a different color, it's really light. So just, yeah, if you can't remember all that, just, this is the takeaway. It's true for intellectual property law, it's true for Sudoku. Don't mess with Mickey Mouse. And just a couple examples of how, puzzles that have successfully avoided that. So on the left, you've got a puzzle by Clover, and it's right there in the Mickey Mouse zone, but it's super light colored, and it doesn't interfere with your ability to see the digits at all, so that's great. Conversely, if you have stuff that's noisy and colorful and loud, totally all right, as long as it's outside the Mickey Mouse zone. So yeah, don't mess with Mickey Mouse. Over to Palfly.
Next, another point about visual clarity that only affects some people. So for most of you, this is probably a perfectly fine puzzle. But some people are colorblind. So these are two examples of things colorblind people might see in this puzzle. And of course, if you have the rules, pink line, blue line, green line, yellow line, it gets a lot harder to solve if you can't tell them apart. So yeah, a few things you can use to distinguish the lines between each other. One is using colors that are good for colorblind people. There's tools online. There's like lists of colors you can use. If you want any of those, just ask us after the talk or write us in Discord. But that's like usually like the last option if you don't have any other choice, because colorblind people are all different. Some might still not be able to see them, even if the online tool says they can. Most can. So what can we do to distinguish them? If you have few lines, like if you have 2 or 3 line types, it's fine to differentiate them with thickness. So if you see the pink and the blue line, one is thinner, the other one is thicker, you can tell those apart in the puzzle. The next option, if you have more than those, is texturing. So for example, these are just made in SudokuMaker with the white lines drawn over the other lines. And you can tell them one is hollow, one is striped. And the last option is just writing the name of the clue next to the line, which doesn't only help, like that's for lots of lines in one puzzle, and that doesn't only help the colorblind people, it's also nice for everyone if you have the name right next to the clue to remember. And yeah, if you do this, don't forget to mention the rules, because if you don't put in that the hollow line is one and the non-hollow line is the other, colorblind people still won't be able to tell. Yeah, so some examples of this, ladder by Satamat, you can see, for one, the different thickness of lines, but more importantly in this puzzle is just they are labeled. You can clearly tell box 1 has an entropic and a Rembrandt line. And then the second example is one of texture. Even though like the dots are different sizes, they're clearly marked with visuals to indicate which dot fits together with which other dot. What else should I find for the next one?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like
Something Ranks mentioned earlier that I think more people should do is adding visual reminders for like invisible constraints, so anti-knight, anti-king, negative crop key constraints. Because, I mean, show of hands, who has forgotten a global constraint before? There you go. I would like to talk to the people who didn't. What magic do you use? But yeah, it can be very simple, just an emoji of a crown for anti-king. And yeah, just a simple reminder like that can really like help us all along and not make the people forget the constraint.
Do you have recommendations for like anti-consecutive, non-consecutive?
Ooh, there's a question about how to remind people about non-consecutive. I don't think I've done that before.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought was just like out of the grid, put a white circle and cross it out with an X. Like just something simple like that, so people know, okay, there's something you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, I like that, a crop key dot with a red nah symbol through it. Yeah, but you all are very creative, and I'm sure you can come up with stuff, right? Yeah, I like this proposal. Thank you for bringing it up. And thanks to Ranks for preempting it. That's actually the lecture portion. So we zipped through that. So the second of the 3 halves is this live demo. And quick plug, has anyone seen these puzzles in the foyer, right? Okay, I don't actually want to plug them, but what I want to point out is that this is made in SudokuMaker. I didn't use any other, I didn't muck with the JSON. This is just SudokuMaker, right? You can do a lot of stuff with the tools that we've got available to us today. Show of hands, who has set a puzzle with SudokuMaker already? Wow, more than half the room. Who has not set a puzzle in SudokuMaker? Maybe a third of the room or so. Okay, by show of hands, who personally created SudokuMaker, like the software? Can we get a round of applause, please, for SudokuMaker? I love this tool so much. Okay, this is unscripted, but I just want to like take 5-10 minutes and run you through the tools that I use a lot in SudokuMaker that may not be the ones that you're used to. So I think a lot of people know that way down here at the bottom, we've got, well, now we've got all this custom fog stuff that used to be at the bottom. We've got cosmetic lines, cosmetic cages, cosmetic symbols, and I think a lot of people have clicked on these and they've said, I'm going to put in a circle. And that's about the extent of their use of these tools. But these are really general purpose tools, right? And I think what people don't realize is you can do a lot of cool stuff with these. And the way you do most of the cool stuff is you either mess with what the line looks like. So obviously you could change its color. Red, as we saw on that slide, is not a very easy to see color with digits on it. But we can also change its thickness. Okay, that's nice. It's a thin line. But the real power comes in here. We can change our level of detail, right? So this line can do all kinds of crazy stuff. So there we go. There's our, no, I probably wouldn't set that puzzle exactly, but it's super useful because even if you're just trying to do something basic, like you have two new kinds of lines, right? And they're here and here. Maybe you don't like that they touch each other. It's just kind of bugging you visually. Well, how do you fix that, right? Well, one way would be that instead of drawing with grid resolution 1, we could draw with like grid resolution 3. And then I could have the line just go to there. That's prettier, right? It's less visually confusing. And yeah, so that's a really simple thing you can do. And it's the same with these symbols. We've got circles, rectangles, text, which I'll get to in a second. And we can put these wherever, and we can make them any size that we want. I'm always amazed people just don't realize like how generally powerful this tool is. We can put like all these little circles everywhere. I don't have a mouse, but yeah. Oh, hey, there is, and it works and everything. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Also, watch out for ovals. They don't appear as ovals in SudokuCon.
That's true. Yeah, different software might render these a little differently, and that's actually a really good point. So whenever you think that you're done designing it visually, just make sure that you export it to whatever software you're using. It's probably SudokuPad, isn't it? And make sure that it looks like how you want it to look in SudokuPad. There's Sven again. So just make sure that it looks how you want it to look. And that's especially important with making a mess of this grid. It's especially important with text elements. So here in cosmetic symbols, we've got circles and rectangles. Okay, everyone knows what those are. What about text? Well, we can put text, again, anywhere we want. We can make it as large or as small as we want, whatever color we want. Let's make this a little bigger. So let's put a 3, whoa, that's too big. Not 635. Let's put in this little field here, B. I don't know why there's a B there. And in fact, it's not the wrong color to be in the middle of a cell. It's in the Mickey Mouse zone, right? So don't do that. But you can also put anything you want in there, and it could even be an emoji. Now I know Palfly just said not to throw random emojis at things, but let's say we wanted a non-random emoji, because there's just very important reasons that we would need cats in some puzzle. Again, don't abuse this. We could just grab whatever text we want, and emojis are text. Remember that? Emojis are just text. And we could put it here. And hey, there's our cat. Again, you want to make sure that to try this out on a few different devices, because emojis are notorious for looking really different on different operating systems and devices. So on this one, it looks like that. It might look like a different cat on someone else's solve, so just make sure that you're not depending on how it looks specifically too much if it's an emoji. And again, we can make as many of those as we want. I'm going to check this box because I like this box a lot. And you can just put them everywhere. We can make the grid resolution more fine-grained so I can kind of control. Yeah. I'm going to publish this after the talk. I'm sure it has a unique solution. Other stuff. So there's just a lot of really cool tricks you can do with this. So like, let's say we wanted a gradient effect on a line. Ooh, how could we do that? Well, the color, right, it allows you to make things transparent. And that's nice because you can kind of see through them, right? I could see through that line to see this other line. But you can kind of abuse that. So let's have this transparent line, and I'm going to make a copy of it. I love this feature. This was added like probably 3 months ago. Is that right? I can just duplicate all the copies of a clue and make another copy of them. That's awesome. Okay, well, now I've got two of this line over top of each other. And I'm going to make one of them a little bit smaller. So the previous one had thickness 15, this one has thickness 12. And I'm just going to do that like 3 more times. So I'll make another one that's a bit smaller. And I'm going to make another one, and it's going to be a bit smaller, like that. And I'm going to make another one. And I've just created a mess, but look at what it looks like in the grid, right? That's kind of cool, right? So you can make all kinds of visual. This is basically like MS Paint, except it solves in SudokuPad. So really your creativity, your imagination is the limit for your creativity here. You can make anything you want, including all those puzzles out in the foyer. So if you have something in your head, I bet you can figure it out in SudokuMaker. Questions? Any questions about SudokuMaker before we dive into the third half? Yes, Blobs. Oh, great call out. Thank you. Yeah, this is something that a bunch of people have independently figured out. So Blobs was pointing out, and I'll repeat it. So these cats are in the Mickey Mouse, well, that cat is. These cats are all over the place. One thing you can do to obey Mickey Mouse a little bit more, what layer are my cats even? They're that one. Is let's say that this is a little bit too visually chaotic, right? And we put the, that's the understatement of the day. But let's say we decide we can't see these digits very well, right? So a trick that I think a lot of people have independently figured out is let's make another element, and it's just gonna be a white square right there, and we're gonna make it have no border, so it's just gonna be a blank white square, and it's gonna be the entire width of the cell, which is 100, because these cells are 100 points wide. And, oops, tab. So now it's completely hiding cat. Cat is gone. But what if it were not white? It were sort of a transparency kind of white, like that. Can everybody see that? Whoa, okay. So you can kind of have a ghost cat, and you can fade out your cat. And that's really easy to see the digits over. There we go. Yeah. So isn't that nicer? So you can pick how you want that to look, and you can make sure not to offend Mickey Mouse too much. Yes?
You can also
Philip.
collect all of the emojis with the select all, right?
Great call out. So whenever we have one of these elements on the left that I've created a plethora of, oops. Ah, yeah, right? Control A selects all of them. So now I could change all of them. I could change all of their sizes. I could change all of their, sizes, text color if it was real text and not a cat. Can't change the cat's color, I'm sorry. And there's also yes, if you're on mobile, right, and you don't have Control A, there's these nice select to all and select multiple buttons down here on the lower right. So all kinds of quality of life stuff that's built into SudokuMaker. Yes, another question in the front.
So all this cool stuff you've been showing us is only available with cosmetic symbols, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. So you'll have to do all the logic yourself for the most part. There is a really cool, it's sort of, I think, experimental. You can make your own constraints if you know JavaScript. But this is sort of like an early alpha thing that's sort of a super user tool. So for the most part, yeah, these aren't going to enforce themselves, right? If we have a rule about cats and you're making a puzzle, you'll just have to do that manually, right? Like in the old days. Rankst.
I do have a comment as a lot of people like to use my solver. So you could always set it in F puzzles.
Yep.
Make the puzzle the way you want logically, then remake it so that to make the trick.
So the comment from Ranks is that if you want to a solver that's more advanced, you can always set it with just stock visuals in F puzzles or and use a more advanced solver, and then do all of the cool graphic stuff in SudokuMaker, let's say. So you can also take that hybrid approach, right, where you use the solver you want, and then you also use the visual tools that you want to release the final puzzle.
Yeah, and also for the, like if you want the solver to solve directly in the visual puzzle, but you don't want the normal lines to see in the puzzle, you can just either make them like completely transparent or zero width, so they still function logically, but you just can't see them. And of course, if you want to check where the lines are, you're just gonna have to turn them back on. Yeah, that's well.
That's a really good point. I'm going to show that actually. So let's say that we've got a line drawing. Let's say we're Yttrio, and we're doing, so of course we're doing a loop puzzle. And the loop puzzle is a German whisper. I've met Yttrio, so that's why I'm teasing a little bit, but he makes great loop puzzles. And let's say that there's some other clues that somehow force the loop here, and we want to make sure that our solver is taking that into account, right? Well, let's just make it invisible. Okay, here's our invisible German whisper. It's still green, but it's an invisible shade of green, like the Chomsky quote. So there we go. Now we've got an invisible German whisper. You'll notice there's no 5s on it, right? But no one can see it. So unless somebody mucks with the HTML, they won't know about that whisper line. And you could always delete it before you export it if you're worried about cheating. Okay, cool. What I want to do, oh yes, one more question from Blobs. You don't even have to delete it, you can disable it. Oh my gosh, there's all these great features. So let's say we don't want to make it invisible. We want to see it because it's easier as a setter. You can also just make it green, but disable it, which is like a different kind of being invisible. And now the solver won't use it, and also it won't be in the puzzle. It gets exported to SudokuPad. So as you can see, we've created something very beautiful. I want all of you to do the same. So what I'd like to happen is I want to brainstorm together a little bit, and then I want to split into groups for the third and last half of the talk and set puzzles, and then we'll reconvene a little bit right at the end. Okay, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Brainstorming. Okay, if you want to make puzzles that look great, ideas can come from anywhere. You could have ideas for visual things that are really striking, that have nothing to do with the rules or the clues. You could have ideas related to rules or clues, like the ones we brainstormed in Glum Hippo's session. Or you could have like a theme, like let's just give examples. So visual ideas, this could be something like, I don't know, what if a cell was cut in half? What does it mean? I don't know, but it would look cool. Maybe there's something there, right? Theme ideas, this would be like parking lots or robots or something. What's the rule? I don't know. It's just a seed for an idea, right? Or a rule or clue idea could be like something with multiplication. How do you spell multiplication? I think that's how you spell it. Okay, I want to take 5 and I want to get your ideas. And we're going to put as many up here as we can, and then we're going to split into groups. And you don't have to use the ones we come up with. You can still keep brainstorming, right? But I think this will help get the creative juices flowing. So does anyone have a really vague idea? It doesn't even have to be fully formed. Just like one word or a phrase or something that would look cool. Yes? So that's sort of like a theme idea, right? Like a desert oasis. Nice. Oh, sorry. I accidentally typed dessert oasis, and now I like that better. So I'm gonna leave. I think I'm hungry. Okay, thank you for that unintentional dessert oasis. Anything else? Yes, Sven.
Something with explosions.
Explosions. I guess is that sort of a visual, or it's kind of more of a visual, right? I guess it's halfway in between, but I'll put it over here. Explosions.
Like the fog of war function to make the explosion somehow.
Ooh, okay, so explosions could interact with fog of war in some way. Okay, I like that thought. Any other rule ideas, thematic ideas? The grid looks like a waffle. I just got everybody hungry, didn't I? Okay. These are all going to be food related. All right, yes, Frankst, and then we'll go to the back. Pizza with toppings. That's kind of like a theme, right? But I like that because toppings you could go places with that. Someone had a hand up in the back. What if the borders were something other than straight black lines? Borders that are not straight black lines. I love it. Okay, anything else? Couple more. Yes. Sorry? Oh yeah, oozing slime. Always make those. I think I have at least 2 oozing slime puzzles already, but that's okay. There's room for more oozing slime. Is that a theme, or is that sort of a visual idea? It's both. Okay, let's put it in the visuals. So just something that looks like oozing slime. Okay, a couple more. Yes, Philip.
Philip Huber created a puzzle called Hogwarts, what was it? Hogwarts House Cup Sudoku.
Hogwarts House Cup.
Yeah, and it's, if anyone wants to look it up, its ID number is 0004PX.
That sounds like an awesome theme, but let's not plagiarize. So,
I'm just saying, that doesn't have to be original, but I would love to see that themed a little bit.
yeah, like House Cup, Hogwarts, but already been done. So just take that into account. But that sounds like a great theme. Yes, here. Mountain climbing, love it. That's really suggestive of something. Rules-based, okay. Okay, cool. So we've got lots of, I think this is good, and you can think of more, right? But the goal over the next, what time is it? Half hour, a little more than half an hour, is to grab some groups, and one person at least should have a laptop. Open up SudokuMaker. I suggest creating a 6x6 puzzle because we don't have a lot of time. And it's even okay if you don't finish setting it, right? But I suggest opening it up, making a 4x4 or a 6x6 puzzle. And the way you do that, by the way, is this new button, right? And it's okay if you don't finish setting the puzzle, but see if you can design the visuals and the rules for your puzzle with your group. And we'll reconvene at, what time will we reconvene? 5, maybe 5 or so. Yeah, so you got half an hour. Have fun, and we'll come around and help folks out. In a couple days' time. But does anyone have any comments, questions, experiences they wanted to share in the last few minutes of the workshop? Yes. How do you put an image as a background in SudokuPad? In SudokuMaker, it's probably easier to do once you have a SudokuPad puzzle, is the short answer. There's a couple ways to do it. You can see Sven walking back to his seat. But if you have a puzzle already that doesn't have a background image, which you can make, there is, nope, not there. Advanced. You have to be advanced. So if you're advanced, you can do it. So it's right here in SudokuPad. This is probably the most user-friendly way. So you could just make your puzzle without a background image, and then you click this button that's under the advanced setting in SudokuPad. Yeah. And you might have to fiddle with the size of the image because there are margins and so on, but you'll figure it out. Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, comments for either of us? Everybody's like still looking at their computer setting puzzles, which is really cool to see.
Check your Discord message.
I will, oh, okay. I probably have a ton of Discord messages with very cool looking half-made puzzles, so I'm excited to look at that. Philip says not cool looking, but that's fine. I'll take those too. Okay, cool. Yeah, if there's no more questions, that's our talk. Thanks for coming. And you'll find me around the con, and Palfly around the con. Thanks, everybody.